correct. Here we go. The first part is innate immunity. What does the word innate mean? Does anyone know? Innate. Whoops. Okay, if something is innate, that means you are born with it. Okay? Something is innate, that means you're born with it, right? It is native to you. It's not something you get later on in life, right? What are some things of your immune system that you're born with?
Hair.
Huh? Hair?
Oh, is right.
Okay, you have hair. You also have what?
Cells.
Skin. You have tears. Mucus. Huh? Sweat. All of these are things that you automatically have, right? It's not something that you have to acquire or your body has to do something to get it, right? You're automatically going to have these when you are born, right? These are going to be a part of what we call non-specific. If something is non-specific, does it have a certain target? No, right? It's just a general response for all pathogens, right? It's not going to be targeting any certain one. Right. Our first part of non-specific is our first line of defense. If it's your first line of defense, what does that mean?
It's the first thing that does stuff.
Okay, it's the first part that's going to protect the body from invaders. So in our body, our first line of defense is our skin. Okay, your skin contains special substances such as oil and sweat. When your skin cells release these onto the surface of your skin, it's going to make a very unfavorable environment for the pathogens. Okay, so the bacteria, fungus, parasites are very picky about the type of environment that they want to live in. And they don't want to live in one that is unfavorable. So just like this guy up here in this picture, that he's not happy with the oil on the skin, that's how bacteria feel. Okay, so that's going to be one of our first lines of defenses in keeping these pathogens out of the body. Another part of our first line of defense is mucus. How many of you have ever been sick and you've had lots of snot and mucus? Yeah, we've all had it, right? Okay, it's nasty. It's not something that we enjoy having, but it is there for a purpose. Okay, so you have mucus for a very important reason, because the mucus is able to trap particles in it. Okay, bad particles that are making you sick. And it's able to move those up and out of the body through using the cilia in your esophagus and trachea, as well as when you cough or sneeze, right, you're getting rid of that mucus. That mucus contains some of the pathogens that are making you sick, right? So it's helping you get rid of them. So when you cough or sneeze, you are getting rid of that nasty mucus that contains the bacteria or the virus or whatever pathogen is making you sick. If you swallow the mucus, that's going to go to the stomach. What is the environment like inside the stomach?
Acid.
It's very acidic, right? What did I say on the previous slide about an acidic environment? Do pathogens like that? No. So the acidic environment in the stomach is going to then also be a part of the first line of defense as it breaks down and gets rid of those pathogens before it can enter into the rest of your body. Okay, questions over our first line of defense? We have one more part. Our last part of our first line is tears. You have, Yep. You have tears in your eyes. Okay, even if you're not crying, right? Your eyes still have moisture.
My eyes water sometimes.
Okay. Well, these tears contain an enzyme called lysozyme. And this enzyme is able to break down and attack and get rid of pathogens that are trying to enter the body through the eye. Okay, so this is also another important part of the first line of defense because it's keeping those pathogens from getting into the body. Right. So first line of defense, what are our components? Yes, Alyssa?
I heard that unborn, like whenever a child is born, they can't develop tears until they're born.
No, they have tears. Haven't you seen a baby cry? No, they have tears. Huh? Okay. What are the components of the first line of defense? Skin, mucus, tears. On our skin, we have oil and sweat. Good. All right. Moving on. All right, that brings us to our second line of defense. So if, for some reason, a pathogen gets past our first line of defense, we have to have a backup plan, right? And our backup plan is going to be our white blood cells. White blood cells are going to be very good at initiating what we call an immune response. What does the word initiate mean? To start. So initiate means you're going to start something or begin something. So the white blood cells are what are going to initiate an immune response in the case of the pathogen getting into the body, right, past the first line of defense. In the video that we watched, what was the first step? Who engulfed the virus? Who engulfed the cold virus? The macrophage. Okay, a macrophage is a white blood cell, right? White blood cells can also be called macrophages. They are going to be engulfing, right? Like Jonathan said, recognizing the pathogen, right? Recognize the invader. So they're going to recognize what the problem is, and they're going to release a chemical signal that's going to cause the immune system to produce more white blood cells. Why would we need more white blood cells if the first line of defense is broken down? Yes, Dustin.
Because more to take down if there's a lot.
Good. We're going to need more help, right, to engulf all these viruses, and that way our body can learn how to remember it in a second, right? So the more white blood cells, the faster we can get rid of the virus. All right. Some white blood cells engulf pathogens through endocytosis. Now, we know that this is not just called endocytosis, but it has a special word called phagocytosis, which should make sense since I just told you they're sometimes called macrophages, okay? So they're engulfing the pathogens, and we call this phagocytosis. Right. Another part of our second line of defense is a fever. Okay, fevers can be good, right? Because fevers do two different things. Fever is caused whenever that chemical that the white blood cells are releasing, it's going to tell the brain that, hey, there's something going on here. We need to elevate the body temperature. When your brain elevates the body temperature, this is going to cause the white blood cells to mature at a faster rate, and it's also going to make an unfavorable environment for the invader. At what temperature do you think that most bacteria that want to live inside your body, what's the temperature that they're happiest at?
98 something.
Probably about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, right? Why?
Because they can probably survive.
Because what is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit? What is that temperature? That's your normal body temperature, right? So a bacteria that wants to live inside your body and make you sick is probably going to live or be best able to reproduce and do what it wants to do at a temperature around 98.6. So what if the body raises the temperature to, let's say, 100 degrees Fahrenheit? Is that bacteria going to be happy?
No.
No. Is it going to be able to fulfill its functions very easily?
Not really.
No, right? Which is going to make it easier for the body to get rid of it. So a fever, again, does two things. Makes white blood cells mature faster, and it creates that unfavorable environment for the invader. Okay? So up until this point, have we been targeting any specific pathogens? No, right? It's just our general, non-specific response, what we're born with, right? You're born with skin, you're born with mucus, you're born with tears, you're born with white blood cells. But now we're going to start talking about specific immunity. And specific immunity is going to be different because this time we're going to be targeting certain pathogens. Your body's going to learn the pathogen and learn how to memorize it so when it sees it in the future, it can get rid of it. This is why it's called acquired immunity. If something is acquired, what does this mean?
You have to do it.
No, that's required.
Oh.
Acquired means you get it, right, over time. Is this something you're born with?
No.
Not born with it. So you are not born with it. You have to acquire this over time as you encounter different pathogens. All right, this is going to take us to our third line of defense. So whenever first line fails, second line is doing its job, but it's not getting rid of it right away, we are going to go to the third line of defense. This is going to be called cellular immunity. And cellular immunity is going to depend upon T cells. So as our white blood cells engulf the pathogen, they're going to display those protein markers. What are those protein markers called? Called a flag, but specifically it's called an antigen, right? Remember? That's our scientific word. So a flag called an antigen on its surface for those T cells to recognize it, right? As those T cells come by and identify it, what's going to happen? We're going to call for help of more T cells. Specifically, what T cell is going to be recognizing it first and calling for help?
The head.
Isn't that something?
The helper T cell is going to be the one that calls for help, right, at first, recognizes the antigen that the white blood cell is displaying, and calling for backup. Okay. All right, so we have two types of helper T cells. We have helper T cells, and we also have killer T cells. Helper T cells are going to stimulate killer T cells, which means it's going to call the killer T cells to come and help out and get to destroy the pathogen. It's also going to make memory cells, which is going to stimulate or cause the B cells to come and produce the antibodies that we need. Killer T cells, their job is going to be to destroy the pathogen. So their job is to destroy it, right? That's why they're called the killer T cells. They kill it, they destroy it, they get rid of it. And they are also going to help make memory cells. All right, antibody immunity. So that was cellular immunity. Now we're going to talk about antibody immunity. So antibodies are produced by B cells. B cells are our memory cells. So they're able to produce antibodies that are going to be able to mark the pathogen, right, and remember it for the future. B cells remember the antigen and produce antibodies for the antigen. Okay? So that if the body sees it again, it can automatically start making more antibodies. On your notes, I've provided you with the definition of an antigen and the definition of an antibody. And I want to point out to you that these fit together like the lock and key model. Can I use just any key to unlock a door? No, it has to be the right key, right? So just same idea here. Each Each antibody is specific to the invader it's going to be attacking. Okay, so you have to have the certain antibody in order to tag the different types of invaders. All right, and these antibodies are going to be what helps your body to react faster if it encounters the same pathogen in the future. All right, we've talked a lot about HIV. HIV is bad because it attacks the helper T cells. And our helper T cells, what's their job? What's their job?
They call in.
They recognize the antigen right on the white blood cell and call for backup. So if they can't do their job, they can't call for backup, this is going to leave your body unable to defend itself. So you're going to get sick. So that means someone with HIV is not going to be able to fight off the flu like we would be able to, right? Because they're not going to have the immune system to do so. All right, we'll stop here and we'll finish up the rest. All right, so vaccines work by artificially producing acquired immunity. So they're going to be putting a piece of the virus into your body and causing your body to produce those antibodies, right? So it's like acquired immunity, but it's artificial. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.